Hi everyone, it's Lucy from My Crazy Craft Life, and I'm here today with a design team post for Scrapping for Less. I'm going to be making these adorable shutter cards with no dies and only 4 score lines. I'm also using the brand new release from Scrapping for Less. It is Winter in Pink paper pad, the Winter Fairies, and the Winter Fairy House. Now for this you're going to need a card base that is 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches. The main inside panel is 4 inches by 4 1/4. You will need one of them. The side panels are 2 inches by 5 1/4 inches. You'll need 4 of them. The window lens back panel is 3 inches by 5.5 inches. You'll need one of them. The front panel for that is 2 3/4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. The shutter you'll need 2 of at 3/4 inches by 3 inches. And then the white panel for the inside where the shutter is going to open up to, or what the shutter is going to open up to, is 4 inches by 2 3/4 inches. So that's everything that you need to make it. You're going to grab your scoreboard so that you can score the pieces. And you're going to start by scoring the card base at 2 1/8 inch and at 6 3/8 inches. And so this is going to make a gatefold card. So that's basically what you're doing here. And then you're going to score the 2 pieces, or the 2 shutter pieces, at 1/4 inch. So you're just going to make that simple score, and then you're ready to go with the rest of the card. So you're going to fold your card base over. Now you want to go against or opposite of the side that you scored. So if you scored on one side, you can see the indent of it. Flip the card over and fold it that way, going backwards kind of. It makes it a cleaner fold when you do that. Then you're just going to want to make sure that those pieces of the shutter are scored so that they'll pop in and out like you want to. Now I ended up doing this a couple times, so when you look at the cards that I made, you're going to see that there are a couple different sizes, because I was playing around with the sizes and what ended up working best, and this is what I think worked the best. So you're going to diagonally make a line down the center of the shutter pieces from the score line to the corner. So it's going to be diagonal, so you're making an X on that, and you're going to do it on the back side, so the side that you don't want to show on the card. And you're going to do that on both of the pieces so that you create that X. The bottom half of the X on the opposite side of the side that was scored, you're going to cut out that triangle. And these 2 pieces are the pieces that are going to make the shutter part of the card. So once you cut those out, and you do want to make sure, this one had the largest one, that's why I ended up liking this one the best. And playing around with it, like I said, I made a couple different sizes, and I liked this size the best and how it opened the best with the 1/4 inch score line. Then what you're going to do is, I have some 1/8 inch score tape, and you put that on the 1/4 inch part where the score line is. Make sure that you don't go over that, and you want to make sure that it's good adhesive that's going to hold it, because it is going to be moving back and forth, and you don't want that to come apart. And you're going to do it on the same side that you want to show when you open the card. So it's not going to be the opposite, kind of like an underfold, that's going to keep it. It's going to be on the same side that you're going to end up using. So then once you put those to the side, you're now going to start putting all of the pattern pieces down. And for here, I used art glitter glue adhesive. I like it. It's strong adhesive, but it gives you a few seconds, and it dries really, really quickly, but it does give you a few seconds to be able to move it. So you're going to place that on the inside of the card in the center. You're going to get the strips and place the side strips on as well. And you have a lot of different options here that you can do. You can use the same patterns, you can use different patterns, whatever you like. On this one I used all 4 pieces are the same. On a different one I used different ones. So there's no rhyme or reason or what's right or wrong with this. It's just whatever you are going to like and how you want to do it. So then you're also going to take the window lens back panel and the front panel, and you're going to adhere those together. And then that's going to leave that little border around it, so that's why all of these are that 1/4 of an inch difference. And this is where I use the die. Now, like I said, you do not have to use a die. You can certainly cut the circle out yourself, but I just thought it was easier. And you're going to want to leave at least a 1/2 to a 3/4 of an inch from the top of that panel on where you're going to put it. Now you can put it anywhere on the panel, but you at least want to do that much either towards the top or bottom. I did it towards the top, but you can do it either way. Then you're going to take the shutter pieces and you're going to leave those about a 1/2 an inch down for this particular card. And what you're going to do is you're going to line it up. So the first one you're just going to line up. Now I end up putting a couple glue dots on the back of the shutter or the lens or the window lens and stick it down there so that I can line it up kind of exactly where I want it. And that I found worked the best because then I know exactly where I need it to be. And I'm going to make sure that that's even, and since it's a 5.5 inches, it should go all the way to the top and the bottom. And then you're going to, I used the ruler just to make sure that it was extremely even. Is it necessary? I don't think so. I probably could have eyeballed it and been perfectly fine. But once you got that in the position that you want it, you're going to remove the adhesive backing and then fold that side of the card over right on top of the adhesive on how you lined it up and where you lined it up. So I kind of moved it, and I wanted to, like I said, make sure that this was very even, even though I could not keep this straight for the life of me, but it ends up working out fine. So even if it adjusts a little bit, it will be fine. And then just make sure that that's there, and then you see that it'll stick there on the side. Then you're going to peel up that piece, and you're going to just have to line up this second shutter portion to make sure that it lines up with the other one, and then you're just going to fold that down. Now the piece that I have here is what I'm going to use for the center, so when it opens up this is what you will see, and that you're just going to lay down in there. Now I traced just that diamond shape so I knew how large of an area I had to work in with all of them, and like I said, the best one was actually the one with the fairy in it, and I liked that one the best. It was the largest one, and I liked how that one worked the best. So I end up just stamping a sentiment in the center of this one because I do end up coloring some of the images, both of the fairies, and putting them on the front of these cards on the band that's going to hold the card closed. So I cut the happy birthday in half that came with this stamp set, and I'm just going to end up stamping that with some VersaFine ink. And then I'm just going to adhere it right in the center of those two shutter pieces. You do want to erase the little area that you drew on for the placement of it. And then once you adhere that down, that's going to kind of hold, or that's going to be what's showing through the card. Now when you put this together, you see how I overlapped the pieces for the shutter card? You're going to want one side up and one side down. That's how you want to make sure that it stays in there, so it kind of has that shutter effect when you do it. Now you're going to kind of line up the lens or the window panel, and you're going to put the foam tape, and you want to make sure that the foam tape is above and below the shutter pieces. So you want to make sure that it doesn't interfere with the mechanism for it to move back and forth. So you want to make sure it's high enough on the top and low enough on the bottom that it's not going to mess with it. So you might have to use thinner tape depending on how far you put it up or down. So that's going to fit in there nicely. Then you're going to want to line this up so that you do have it in the center. Because of how that's cut, you're going to want to make sure that it lines up in the center so that you can see that whole area. Now the circle, like I said, was about 2 1/4 inches. So you want to make sure that you can go probably a little larger than that, but you don't want it too much larger than that. On the circle for the window area. So now that you're kind of through with it, that's pretty much it. That's the card. Then you're going to cut a strip about 11 inches, and I did mine about an inch. I don't think it really matters exactly how much or how large or small or thin, or if you did a 2-inch one. You do want to make sure though that it's loose enough that you're going to be able to move it up and down fairly easily, but that it's going to keep that card closed. So I used the adhesive, the liquid adhesive, to get that closed. Now I just used the circles that I had cut out for the window panel on all of these cards that I put on top of it, and I just did different things with them. For this particular one, I colored an image of the fairy, and right there I put too much glue on it and I had to take some off and then put it back on because it would have glued onto the card. I don't know what I was thinking. But so I colored these images on the outside, the fairies on the outside, with some Prismacolors. I did not leave the coloring in here because I knew this was already going to be a long video and I wanted to make sure we got through this. So I show another card on here that I did some Copic coloring on for the inside that I left the fairy, and I kind of left that in here to see how I stamped that. But for this one, I just stamped the image, colored it with the Prismacolors, and I did leave the pencils. These are the colors I used for coloring for both of the images on the outsides of the cards that are on the bands. So this one I used the sweet little fairy that's on the moon. She's so sweet. And I just popped that right on there, and that's it. That is the card. And I just love how simple these are and how they come together. After you cut out all of your papers and score them, it's really very simple from that point on. And like I said, I just think these are absolutely adorable. So I made 3 of them. Like I said, I left the next one in there just to show you which Copic markers I used, so I do leave that in here. And I kind of show you, see how that's a larger one, and those are the dimensions that I gave you, was for that larger area. So I just stamped this with some Memento Tuxedo black ink, and I only stamped part of the image because the whole thing wasn't going to fit in there, so I wasn't worried about the entire thing being in there. And then I just colored down to the area that it was going to show. So I hope that everybody enjoyed this. I hope you can see how easy this was, and I want to see a bunch of them with this new fairy release from Scrapping for Less. You can head over to Scrapping for Less to pick up your release, or you can jump over and watch some other videos that will be at the end of this. Thanks for stopping by, and I hope everybody has a great day. Take care.